Hello and welcome to the Rainy Night Listens podcast. I'm Haley,
And I'm Wyatt.
and this is the podcast that you save for a rainy night instead of a rainy day.
We also not only post on YouTube, but Apple Podcasts, TikTok, and Instagram. So make sure to check those out as well. All right. Today I am covering the Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie, depending on what you want to call it. What do you know of the Loch Ness Monster?
I know that. I don't know if it started with the picture that one guy had taken or if it was already kind of something that people had talked about before that. But I just know that there was like the one photo that was super famous.
Yeah, I think it's called the surgeon's photograph.
Yeah. And then I know that they've been doing like a lot of eDNA testing in Loch Ness as well.
Yeah, doing like sonar sweeps and stuff on the
Yeah.
bottom. Yeah. Yeah, this mostly will like cover a lot of the like tests they've taken. Not a lot of them. It covers quite a bit of them, like of the sonar sweeps and stuff that they've done of the lake. So,
Sweet. I'm
but
excited.
first, it's time for Hagen's historical word of the day. Hagen,
Hagen.
Hagen,
Hagen. Hagen.
Hagen,
Hagen.
Hagen.
Failure.
Oh, that's
Oh.
me. That was literally me. There's no
That wasn't even
story.
his word.
That wasn't even his word. He's just making fun of us.
Fun fact, Hagen and I have been to Loch Ness.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's
We
freaking
went on like
cool.
a bus tour where they took us around and all of like the little stores and stuff because it's super wooded all the way around it, but then there's like little stores and things like that that are like dispersed throughout it, and all of them have cute little Nessie statues and stuff.
That's cool. There's supposedly a Loch Ness Monster museum
Oh, that's cool.
over there. Yeah,
We did not go to that.
that's sad.
We should have. We should have just jumped off the bus that was our only form of transportation
Yeah,
at the
and
time.
just found it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Man, if only.
If only. What is? I think that's the photo, right?
Yeah.
What is the Loch Ness Monster? Right. Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie, is a mythical creature in Scottish folklore that is said to inhabit Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It is often described as large, long-necked, and with one or more humps protruding from the water. Popular interest and belief in the creature has varied since it was brought to worldwide attention in 1933. Evidence of its existence is anecdotal, with a number of disputed photographs and sonar readings. And that's the picture I think you were talking about. The
Yeah.
surgeon's photograph taken in 1934, supposedly now known to have been a hoax. Okay.
Yeah.
The scientific community, I guess I should say I'm reading this off the wiki. I won't be reading it word for word, but it's kind of close. But yeah, I just want to say that in case you can't see the words at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see from.
Oh.
Yeah, I try to make it legible, but sometimes the image in the background just makes it hard to read. Says the scientific community explains alleged sightings of the Loch Ness Monster as hoaxes, wishful thinking, and misidentification of known animals, mundane objects, and other recognized natural phenomena. The pseudoscience and subculture of cryptozoology has placed particular emphasis on the creature. This is supposedly the origin of its name. It says in August of 1933, the Courier, which is I think like a news outlet or something. I don't know. I don't read the news. uh, it was also in 1933. They might have a different name. I'm
Come
not
on.
sure. Published the account of George Spicer's alleged sighting. Public interest skyrocketed. The countless letters were sent detailing different sightings. The letters described a monster fish, sea serpent, or dragon. Ultimately, the final name settled on was the Loch Ness Monster. Since the 1940s, the creature has been called Nessie.
Much
Now,
more endearing.
I love this picture.
Why'd they have to do my boy like that?
What are you talking about?
That's messed up.
What was that one thing we saw at the museum that was like a stupid small head with a really
Oh,
big body? I
yeah. And
can't
then they're
remember.
just straight up roasting it the
Yeah.
whole time.
This is what that reminds me of this. I wish I remembered the name of it. But, yeah, I guess early sighting, it says early precursors in the sightings. Saint Columbia, and all it has is 565. I don't know if that was the year
Oh.
or what, but it just says 565. It says the earliest report of a monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the Life of Saint Columba by Admonin, written in 7th century AD.
Jeez.
According to Adomnin, writing about a century after the events described, Irish monk St. Columba was standing in the land of the Picts with his companions, and when he encountered local residents burying a man by the River Ness. They explained that the man was swimming in the water when he was attacked by a water beast that mauled him and dragged him underwater despite their attempts to rescue him by boat. Columba sent a follower to swim across the river. The beach approached him, but Columba made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further. Do not touch the man. Go back at once." And the creature stopped as if it had been pulled back with ropes and fled. And Columba's men and the Picts gave thanks for what they perceived as a miracle. Well, I guess like the
What the
earliest sighting of like a
frick?
monster in the water was like get back, demon, and it got back.
It was like, aw,
All
okay.
right. Says believers in the monster point to this story set in the River Ness rather than the loch itself as evidence for the creature's existence as early as the 6th century. Skeptics question the narrative's reliability, noting that the water beast stories were extremely common in medieval hagiographies, and Adomnin's tale probably recycles a common motif attached to a local landmark. According to skeptics, Adomnin's story may be independent of the modern Loch Ness Monster legend, became attached to it by proximity and by believers seeking to bolster their claims. Ronald Binns considers that this is the most serious of various alleged early sightings of the monster, but all other claimed sightings before 1933 are dubious and do not prove a monster tradition before that date. Christopher Kearney uses a specific historical and cultural analysis of Adomnin to separate his story about St. Columba from the modern myth of the Loch Ness Monster, but finds an earlier and culturally significant use of the Celtic water beast folklore along the way. In doing so, he also discredits any strong connection between Kelpies or water horses and the modern media augmented creation of the Loch Ness Monster. He also concludes that the story of St. Columba may have been impacted by earlier Irish myths about the Cowranach and an Oilifeist. Other sightings, this one was in 1871 or 1872, I guess. D. Mackenzie. In October of 1871 or 1872, D. Mackenzie of Balnain reportedly saw an object resembling a log or an upturned boat wriggling and churning up the water, moving slowly at first before disappearing at a faster speed. The account was not published until 1934, when Mackenzie sent his story in a letter to Rupert Gould shortly after popular interest in the monster increased. Oh yeah, this is just a list of sightings, but that was like the next big recorded one was in 1871 or 72.
Okay.
Alexander MacDonald in 1888. Mason Alexander MacDonald of Ab- Ab- Abriacan sighted a large stubby-legged animal surfacing from the loch and propelling itself within 50 yards of the shore where MacDonald stood. MacDonald reported this sighting to Loch Ness water bailiff Alex Campbell and described the creature as looking like a salamander. Yeah, that one.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like getting more close to the actual depiction of it as it
Yeah.
goes on. The best known article that first attracted a great deal of attention about the creature was published on May 2nd, 1933 in the Inverness Courier about a large beast or whale-like fish. The article by Alex Campbell, water bailiff for Loch Ness and part-time journalist, discussed a sighting by Aldi Mackay of an enormous creature with the body of a whale rolling in the water in the loch while she and her husband John were driving on the A82 on the 15th of April 1933. The word monster was reportedly applied for the first time in Campbell's article, although some reports claim that it was coined by the editor Evan Barron. And then there's an excerpt here. It says the creature disported itself, rolling and plunging for fully a minute, its body resembling that of a whale, and the water cascading and churning like a simmering cauldron. Soon, however, it disappeared in a boiling mass of foam. Both onlookers confessed that there was something uncanny about the whole thing, for they realized that there was no ordinary denizen of the that here was no ordinary denizen of the depths, because apart from its enormous size, the beast, in taking the final plunge, sent out waves that were big enough to have been caused by a passing steamer. So that was like a excerpt from the
Jeez.
paper. They really made things sound intense.
Yeah.
Modern interest in the monster was sparked by a sighting on July 22nd, 1933, when George Spicer and his wife saw a most extraordinary form of animal, in quotation marks, cross the road in front of their car. They described the creature as having a large body and a long, wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk, and as long as the 10 to 12 foot width of the road. They saw no limbs. It lurched across the road towards the loch, 20 yards away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth in its wake. Spicer described it as the nearest approach to a dragon or prehistoric animal that I've ever seen in my life, and as having a long neck which moved up and down in a matter of a scenic railway. It had an animal in its mouth and had a body that was fairly big with a high back, but if there was any feet, they must have been of the web kind. And as for a tail, I cannot say, as it moved so rapidly, and when we got to the spot, it had probably disappeared into the loch.
Interesting. I didn't know that there had been sightings of it outside of the water, too.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard too, because I think there's like one more that saw it outside of the loch as well.
Huh. But they didn't remember seeing a tail or anything, or really
Or feet.
limbs either?
Yeah, they didn't see feet or tail. It just looked like a big old blob with a long neck.
So essentially, a snake.
Perhaps.
Mayhaps.
This is, though he was the first to describe the creature as a plesiosaur-like dinosaur, evidence suggested by researchers at Columbia University in 2013 proved his story to be fake. The university and Daniel Loxon suggested that Spicer's sighting was fictionalized and inspired by a long-necked dinosaur that rises out of the lake in King Kong, a film that was extremely popular in cinemas in his home city of London during August 1933, when Spicer reported the sighting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't. I'm hearing, like, I've never thought of the idea of movies like making people see monsters, but it's come up twice now. Like,
Yeah, with the chupacabra and
yeah,
now
and this one.
Nessie.
Yeah, I've never thought of that. Like, oh yeah, a really popular movie was King Kong, so everyone's seeing plesiosaurs in the water now. I don't know. It just is weird that it's happened twice now.
Yeah.
It says Hugh Gray in 1933 was another sighting. It says Hugh Gray's photograph taken near Foyers on the 12th of November 1933 was the first photograph alleged to depict the monster. It was slightly blurred, and it had been noted that if one looks closely, the head of a dog can be seen. Gray had taken his Labrador for a walk that day, and it is suspected that the photograph depicts his dog fetching a stick from the loch. So he had like taken like a really low quality photo, and people are saying, "Oh, that's just your dog," and
And
stuff.
who was it who had taken that one? Henry Gray?
Hugh Gray.
Oh, Hugh Gray, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. It says others have suggested that the photograph depicts an otter or a swan. The original negative was lost. However, in 1963, Maurice Burton came into possession of 2 lantern slides, contact positives from the original negative, which is weird that a guy just randomly had the picture that
Yeah,
was
he just
lost.
happened to have
Yeah,
these photos that were.
he's like, oh no, 30 years later, I have them. It says, and was projected onto a screen. They revealed an otter rolling at the surface in characteristic fashion. So they believe that Hugh Gray's photo was just a picture of an otter.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then this one, if you could read it, by Mr. Arthur Grant. On January 5th of 1934, a motorcyclist, Arthur Grant, claimed to have nearly hit a creature while approaching a Bryakin at about 1 a.m. on a moonlit night. According to Grant, it had a small head attached to a long neck. The creature saw him and crossed the road back to the loch. Grant, a veterinary student, described it as a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. He said he dismounted and followed it to the loch but saw only ripples. He then produced a sketch of the creature and was examined by a zoologist, Maurice Burton, which Maurice Burton's the guy who had the negative photos 30 years later of the other thing too.
Oh.
But who stated it was consistent with the appearance and behavior of an otter. This dude is saying a lot of crap about otters.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Regarding the long size of the creature reported by Grant, it has been suggested that this was a faulty observation due to the poor light conditions. Paleontologist Darren Naish has suggested that Grant may have seen either an otter or a seal and exaggerated its sighting over time. Yeah.
Hmm.
I just think it's funny that everyone's like, "No, it was an otter.
Definitely an otter.
Definitely an otter." I mean, look at that. That's an otter.
I feel like the head is so weird for an otter.
Yeah, I think it's hard because you never know if people are just doing stuff for attention or if it
Yeah.
actually happened. It's just hard to think that you're seeing a plesiosaur, but you actually saw an otter.
Yeah.
That's what get like maybe a seal. I could see them seeing a seal and saying, "Oh my gosh, it was a plesiosaur or something," but not an otter. So I don't know. I just think it's
I
funny that
feel
Maurice Burton has showed up twice, and both times it's like, "No, it was an otter. I swear." I have a picture that's been lost for 30 years. That's an otter.
yeah.
And now it's like, oh no, that thing you saw, otter.
I also like that people go to plesiosaur first.
Yeah,
I saw an extinct dinosaur.
I saw a dinosaur. No, you don't understand. It was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Just one.
A
A
singular.
singular dinosaur.
It wasn't there a thing that where they were thinking that it was otters, that they think it was like multiple otters breaking the surface at the same time as they were swimming, and so that's why it looked like
Oh,
a long serpentine
I hadn't read that anywhere,
creature.
but that's interesting. I guess that would
Maybe
make
I'd
sense.
watched
Like a
that on.
family group like moving looks like a
Yeah.
mass in the water.
Hmm.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
I think I had seen that on one of the mini TV shows that have covered the Loch Ness Monster.
Taylor Film, 1938. On May 29th of 1938, South African tourist G.E. Taylor filmed something in the loch for 3 minutes on 16mm color film. The film was obtained by popular science writer Maurice Burton. If he says it's otters, I
This
swear.
guy.
Who did not show it to other researchers. A single frame was published in his 1961 book, The Elusive Monster. His analysis concluded it was a floating object, not an animal. Okay. He didn't say it was an otter, so there is that. I think it's funny that he didn't show it to other people, but
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
that is really weird. William Fraser, 1938. On August 15th of 1938, William Fraser, chief constable of the Inverness Shire, wrote a letter that the monster existed beyond doubt and expressed concern about a hunting party that had arrived, determined to catch the monster dead or alive. He believed his power to protect the monster from the hunters was very doubtful. The letter was released by National Archives of Scotland on the 27th of April 2010. It's kind of random. This dude was like, oh no, they're gonna hunt the monster. I want to protect it, but I can't. But it's
You gotta
real.
respect this
You
guy.
do. William Fraser was a chill guy. He's like, no, it's real. Please don't kill it.
Please don't do
Just
this.
don't. I can't stop you, but just don't do it. In December of 1954, sonar readings were taken by the fishing boat Rival the Third. Its crew noted a large object keeping pace with the vessel at a depth of 146 meters or 479 feet. It was detected for 800 meters before contact was lost and regained. Previous sonar attempts were inconclusive or negative.
Interesting.
It is interesting. All
Could
right.
they tell like how big the thing was that they were seeing?
They just said it was. All it says is it was just keeping pace with their boat.
Oh,
It just says a large object keeping pace with the vessel.
okay.
On the 24th of August, 2011, Loch Ness boat captain Marcus Atkinson photographed a sonar image of a 1.5 meter wide, unidentified object that seemed to follow his boat for 2 minutes at a depth of 23 meters and ruled out the possibility of a small fish or seal. On April 2012, a scientist from the National Oceanography Center said that the image is a bloom of algae or zooplankton.
I was gonna say 1.5 meters
That's
wide.
pretty small. That's just under 5 feet.
Wide though?
Oh, wide? Is that what I said? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
1.5 meter wide.
Like that's
That
huge.
is pretty darn big.
So I guess that makes more sense if it's just a huge bloom
Chunk
of
of plankton
something.
or algae.
Because that
Yeah.
thing's freaking gigantic.
Yeah. Oh, I remember reading this one. On April 19th of 2014, it was reported that a satellite image on Apple Maps showed what appeared to be a large creature just below the surface of Loch Ness. At Loch Ness's far north, the image appeared about 30 meters long. Possible explanations were the wake of a boat, with the boat itself lost in image stitching or low contrast, seal caused ripples, or floating wood. So, yeah, people on Apple Maps were saying that Nessie was visible in the water in 2014.
Oh.
But they said it could have been boat ripples, but the boat wasn't in any of the pictures because of stitching. Like maybe it was from like the people who were doing the photographing, I guess.
That makes sense.
But in September 2021, it was reported that a 20-foot creature was captured on a live stream near the loch, though it was quickly described as a digitally altered video by skeptics due to the lack of natural movement, an unlikely degree of illumination, and its resemblance to a stock image of a toy plesiosaur. It's like, no, look. It's just like a wooden plesiosaur. No, see?
Look, that's all it is.
That's what it is. Trust me. And now we are on to searches. Yeah. Look at that one.
Hey,
Yeah, see that guy?
that's a guy.
That is the guy. Yep. That's all I got.
Yep.
It looks pretty drawn, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But Edward Mountain Expedition in 1934. This is times when they searched for it. After reading Rupert Gould's Loch Ness Monster and others, Edward Mountain financed a search. Gosh. 20 men with binoculars and cameras positioned themselves around the loch from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for 5 weeks. Beginning on the 13th of July 1934, although 21 photographs were taken, none were considered conclusive. Supervisor James Fraser remained by the loch, filming on September 15th of 1964. The film is now lost. Zoologists and professors of natural history concluded that the film showed a seal.
Mm,
Yeah. I was hoping it was an otter, I'm not gonna lie.
me too.
I want it to be an otter every time now. The Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau was a UK-based society formed in 1962 by Norman Collins, RSR Fitter, and politician David James, Peter Scott, and Constant White to study Loch Ness to identify the creature known as the Loch Ness Monster or determine the causes of reports of it. In 1967, it received a grant of $20,000 from the World Book Encyclopedia to fund a 2-year program of daylight watches from May to October. The principal equipment was 35 millimeter movie cameras on mobile units with 20-inch lenses and one with a 36-inch lens at Ak- Aknahanet. Near the midpoint of the loch, with mobile units in laybys, about 80% of the loch surface was covered. The society's name was later shortened to the Loch Ness Investigation Bureau, and it was disbanded in 1972. The LNIB had an annual subscription charge which covered administration. Its main activity was encouraging groups of self funded volunteers to watch the loch from vantage points, with film cameras and telescopic lenses. From 1965 to 1972, it had a caravan camp and viewing platform of Aknanhanet and sent observers to other locations up and down the loch. According to the Bureau's 1969 annual report, it had 1,030 members, of whom 588 were from the UK. Sonar study in 1967 to 1968. D. Gordon Tucker, chair of the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering at the University of Birmingham, volunteered his services as a sonar developer and expert at Loch Ness in 1968. His gesture, part of a larger effort led by the LNPIB, which is the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau, the
Okay.
one in the earlier one. 1967 to 1968 involved collaboration between volunteers and professionals in a number of fields. Tucker had chosen Loch Ness as the test site for a prototype sonar transducer with a maximum range of 800 meters or 2,600 feet. The device was fixed underwater at Temple Pier in Urquhart Bay and directed at the opposite shore, drawing an acoustic net across the loch through which no moving object could pass undetected. During the 2-week trial in August, multiple targets were identified. One was possibly a shoal of fish, but others moved in a way not typical of shoals at speeds of up to 10 knots. That's pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's really fast.
Dang.
10 knots?
Yeah. There was one that I had. Where is it? There was one I had read that I was like, this is kind of crazy. Maybe this one. Operation Deep Scan in 1987. Operation Deep Scan was conducted in 1987. 24 boats equipped with echo sounding equipment were deployed across the width of the loch and simultaneously sent acoustic waves. According to the BBC News, the scientists had made sonar contact with an unidentified object of unusual size and strength. The researchers returned, rescanning the area. Analysis of the echo sounder images seemed to indicate debris at the bottom of the loch. Although there was motion in 3 of the pictures, Adrian Shine speculated based on size they might be seals that had entered the loch. Sonar expert Daryl Lawrence, founder of Lawrence Electronics, donated a number of echo sounder units used in the operation. After examining a sonar return indicating a large moving object at a depth of 180 meters near Urquhart Bay, Lawrence said, "There's something here that we don't understand, and there's something here that's larger than a fish. Maybe some species that hasn't been detected before. I don't know."
Hmm.
Yeah, that one was pretty interesting. It was like, hey, no, there's definitely something down there. I don't know what it is, but there's something.
Yeah, there's something for sure.
There's a in August of 2023, a weekend of high-tech searching was done in observance of the 90th anniversary of the 1933 Aldi Mackay sighting. The event was coordinated by Loch Ness exploration volunteers in collaboration with the Loch Ness Visitors Center. The technology used included sonar for mapping the loch's bed, thermal imaging drones to scan the surface, and hydrophones, which did record some sounds but were probably ducks. Despite a large turnout of searchers on site and hundreds more viewing internet live stream cameras pointed at the loch, there were no conclusive sightings in 2023. Now we're on to possible explanations.
Ooh. Look at that high res.
I know, look at that one. It's beautiful. It's just like the last one, except his head's turned the other way. Before, after. 3 or 4. So one of the possible explanations is misidentification of known animals. So large European eels was an early suggestion for what the monster was. Eels are found in Loch Ness, and an unusually large one would explain many sightings. Dinsdale dismissed the hypothesis because eels undulate side to side like snakes. Sightings in 1856 of a sea serpent, or kelpie, in a freshwater lake near Lirbost in the Outer Hebrides were explained as those of an oversized eel, also believed common in highland lakes. From 2018 to 2019, scientists from New Zealand undertook a massive project to document every organism in Loch Ness based on DNA samples. Their reports confirm that European eels are still found in the loch. No DNA samples were found for large animals such as catfish, Greenland sharks, or plesiosaurs. Many scientists now believe that giant eels account for many, if not most, of the sightings.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, that's what I thought I had heard most recently, was that they were thinking it was
Eels. Yeah,
I guess whenever they say giant eels, how big are these?
Yeah,
eels?
they said it would have to be a, what was the term they used? An unusually large one would explain many sightings, which isn't impossible, but it would have to be an unusually large one.
Yeah.
In a 1979 article, California biologist Dennis Power and geographer Donald Johnson claimed that the surgeon's photograph was the top of the head of an extended trunk and flared nostrils of a swimming elephant photographed elsewhere, and claimed to be from Loch Ness. In 2006, paleontologist and artist Neil Clark suggested that traveling circuses might have allowed elephants to bathe in the loch. The trunk could be perceived as a head and neck, with the head and back to be perceived as humps. In support of this, Clark provided an example painting.
Huh. I've never heard that before.
I never heard of that one. Oh yeah, there's just a traveling circus. They let their elephants chill in the lake while they were waiting. I skipped over the one they referenced here, the surgeon's one. I skipped over that one. That's why it doesn't sound familiar. Zoologist, angler, and television presenter Jeremy Wade. Oh, I know that. I don't know that guy. I like that guy. Investigated the creature in 2013 as part of his series River Monsters, and concluded that it is a Greenland shark. The Greenland shark, which can reach up to 20 feet in length, inhabits the North Atlantic Ocean around Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, and possibly Scotland. It is dark in color with a small dorsal fin. According to biologist Bruce Wright, the Greenland shark could survive in fresh water, and Loch Ness has an abundance of salmon and other fish. I'd never seen that episode of River Monsters. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't know if I have either.
In July of 2015, 3 news outlets reported that Steve Feltham, after a vigil at the loch that was recognized by the Guinness Book of Records, theorized that the monster is an unusually large specimen of Wales catfish, which may have been released during the late 19th century.
Which those do get huge.
I don't know what a Wales catfish is. That's interesting. It is difficult to judge the size of an object in water through a telescope or binoculars with no external reference. Loch Ness has resident otters and photos of them and deer swimming in the loch, which were cited by author Ronald Binns, may have been misinterpreted. According to Binns, birds may have been mistaken for a head and neck sighting. I don't know how that works, but I'm not gonna say that he's wrong. I can't really imagine seeing like a line of ducks or something and thinking it's a head sticking out of water.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, that one's interesting. Or people believe that it's misidentifications of inanimate objects. Like boat wakes. Wakes have been reported when the loch is calm with no boats nearby. Bartender David Munro reported a wake he believed was a creature zigzagging, diving, and reappearing. There were reportedly 26 other witnesses from a nearby car park. Although some sightings describe a V shaped wake similar to a boat, others report something not conforming to the shape of a boat. In 1933, the Daily Mirror published a picture with the caption, This this queerly shaped tree trunk washed ashore at Foyers, which is on Loch Ness, May. It is thought to be responsible for a reported appearance of a monster. It says in 1982, a series of articles for New Scientist, Maurice Burton again, proposed that sightings of Nessie and similar creatures may be fermenting Scots pine logs rising to the surface of the log. A decomposing log could not initially release gas caused by decay because of its high resin level. Gas pressure would eventually rupture a resin seal at one end of the log, propelling it through the water, sometimes to the surface. According to Burton, the shape of tree logs with their branch stumps closely resembles depictions of the monster. But yeah, I could see like
Yeah, that makes
logs.
sense.
I could see logs floating in the water and looking like a hump and a head
Yeah.
and stuff. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Because it is just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like it's any one thing. I feel like it could be a combination of everything,
Yeah,
like depending on when the person was there and everything. Like I'm sure that some of them probably are logs that are floating there. Some of them probably are the seals. Some of them are probably otters. Some of
yeah.
them are probably eels. Like I feel like it could be a combination of all of them. I just feel like this location specifically has been so sensationalized to have like
The Loch
the
Ness
Loch Ness
Monster.
monster
Yeah,
that anything that looks out of place, I feel like people are instantly gonna jump to it because
yeah.
uh,
They want to
it's
see it.
fun to have your own experience, you know? And so I
Yeah,
feel like I could see people wanting it to be something, even if it may not be. And so I believe that they were having experiences. It's just what they were actually experiencing is kind of
different.
up for interpretation. But I feel like I could see it being kind of a combination of all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
I agree. I think it is possible that it's just different times, different dates, animals, logs, boat wakes, like seeing depressions under the water and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. What really gets me about it is just the concept of a singular animal living for that long because it's never multiple. It's always just the Loch Ness
Yeah,
monster.
that's a good point. It's always just one individual
It's
animal.
it's really hard to imagine a singular animal living for that long, but always varying in size.
Yeah.
It's like, because like if I don't think there's multiple because I feel like it's always ever only one. They're like never saw. I saw a group of Nessies in the water. It's
That's
always just
true.
the singular one, and I don't know. I don't think an animal could live that long. I know some animals do live for a very long time, but
Yeah.
giant reptiles or aquatic reptiles don't fit the list of things that live for very long to my knowledge, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I that's just what gets me. It's just the fact that it's always one and it's been around for so long that it's like I think anything would have died out by this point.
Yeah.
It is cool to imagine though. I honestly
Mhm.
do hope that there is a plesiosaur in Loch Ness.
Yeah.
I want it to happen.
That would be really cool. But I don't know. I don't feel like there's been any other evidence outside of just the stories. Like there's no like if it is leaving the water, you would see like the paths
Like
like
yeah, just
where like
big.
beavers and muskrats and stuff like that where they leave and re-enter
Yeah, there's always
rivers.
trails.
Yeah, you can see like their slide paths where they're going in and out of the water. And so it seems like you would see something, especially with something this size, that you would see something pretty big.
Like a boat ramp
Yeah.
sized like
Yeah.
slide. Yeah, in and out of
so
the
it
water.
just seems like there would be other evidence outside of just purely sightings, but I haven't heard of it. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess that doesn't mean that there isn't, and like I just haven't looked into it enough.
Yeah,
but
no, it's always just a sighting. It's never like I saw tracks or I saw slide marks or anything.
yeah,
Like that one that said he talked about it seeing like it holding a dead animal in its mouth and then going back into the water. It said that he had like crushed a bunch of brush as it went, but they said that one was a hoax and that he made it up. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. Once again, I hope there's a plesiosaur in Loch
That'd
Ness.
be crazy.
I don't think there
It'd
is
be
though.
so insane. Can you imagine?
Be absolutely nuts.
It would be.
If only. It's just a little family of Nessies in there that
Yeah.
just have been
You just have a
surviving.
deal that only one comes up at a
Yeah,
time.
only one can go and hunt at any given time. So they
Yeah.
got to get enough for everybody.
Yeah. I really like the story of Nessie, though.
I do too. It's very different from the other well-known cryptids, and I want there to be more about it, but
Yeah.
that's about all. That's about all I got.
Mhm.
And
And
well, yeah. If you guys have any thoughts or like things, just leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. Unless it's mean, then don't. I don't want to hear it if it's mean. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a good one, and we will hopefully see you in the next one.
bye.
Bye.